You are cleared to enter. Welcome to Pizza Planet.
Welcome to Pizza Planet,
a Pixar podcast.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Gareth.
And we're your delivery guys.
Bringing you a square box of round, hot, cheesy Pixar goodness.
We've got a bounty of slices in today's feast, so let's dig in.
Welcome to Pizza Planet.
Woo!
We got a very exciting episode today.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Gareth and I
what's on the menu?
Oh, yeah. On the menu. Yeah. What are we eating today? So today on the Pizza Planet Pizza, we are going to be talking to Jonason Pauley from JP and Beyond.
Oh, yeah. That's exciting.
Very exciting. So,
wait, was I supposed to pretend I didn't know? Oh my gosh, you got Jonason Pauley? What?
Yes, dude.
What? How did you book Jonason Pauley?
Well, I mean, he's not that famous. Like, I think his top video.
Whoa,
has,
he's gonna listen to this.
Well,
careful.
No. I was gonna say. So it's not like he has that many views. I mean, his top watch video on his channel is like
he doesn't have that many views.
It has 42 million. Like, come on, like.
Okay, now I get that you were being sarcastic. That was good. Yeah. So yeah. Well, when's he gonna be here?
So he'll be joining us any moment. How are you feeling about this, by the way?
Good. I'm excited. I really want to talk to him because I've been watching his YouTube channel this week, and he has some hilarious skits. And like obviously, Toy Story live action is amazing, and I have lots of questions about that too. But yeah, he's a talented guy.
Yeah, seriously, I am so excited to talk to him for a bajillion reasons. Yes, I'm excited. Yeah, this is kind of cool, guys. You'll get to hear a little bit more about Jonason and what he does with JP and Beyond, with his filmmaking and channel and his love of Pixar and Toy Story. But this is kind of cool, man. This is I guess our second video, or second episode, I should say, on interviewing people that we really admire, that are connected somehow to the Pixar world. We kind of called it before casting the Lamplight, as a way to cast the Pixar lamplight on other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is kind of cool. We're hoping to do more of these, and we're doing some video today.
Oh yeah, this is a very rare time you'll see us on camera for an actual podcast episode.
Yes,
but it won't probably be the last.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to let us know. Do you like our faces?
Don't ask that about
I don't want
my
the truth.
face.
You can ask it about
you
your
can
face.
answer. Oh, hey, he's logging on.
He's joining in right now.
Hey, Jonason.
Yo.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's great. How are you?
Awesome.
Good. Jonason Pauley, thank you so much, man, for being on the show.
And
My
welcome
pleasure.
to Pizza Planet.
Oh, thanks. I feel very welcomed already. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those who don't know, Jonason Pauley is from the YouTube channel, JP and Beyond. And this is the YouTube channel that brought the world live-action fan-made Toy Story.
Oh, yeah. Okay, can we just a little clap for Jonason, man?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, seriously. The live-action Toy Story is incredible. I watched it the other night, and it's so well done. It's emotional. Like being able to see the toys and everything. It's done with so much love. So we're just so thrilled to have you here today.
That's great. Well, it was made for guys like me and you who have the whole movie memorized forwards and backwards.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to experience it again fresh somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks.
And I also have to say, as filmmakers, we also just appreciate the labor of love that it takes to do that. I could see some people watching that and being like, I could do that, but they've never tried making a film, and so it's trying to painstakingly recreate every shot. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about this as we get into this discussion, but yeah, that's one of the things that impresses me the most is just how much care it takes to be able to be like, oh, how are we going to do this shot? not gonna skip it. We're gonna figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah, why don't we start by just why don't you share with our audience a little bit about who you are and about your YouTube channel?
Sure. So, like Gareth said, my name is Jonason. I started the YouTube channel when I was maybe, I don't know, 13 or 14, like when you're first allowed to get a YouTube channel. It was a couple years after YouTube started, and I had been putting up little fun video experiments and things. I've always been into creating videos, and I knew as a kid that that's what I wanted to do when I grew up, was be a filmmaker. Live action Toy Story came about when a group of friends and I, which includes Jesse Parada, who's the other JP, that we eventually decided I'd rename the channel because it was Jonason's Movies back in the day. When the movie was released, it was called Jonason's Movies. And so we started out by thinking, like, well, you know, what'd be fun is, like, we should do like a stop motion scene of with the army men at the birthday party, like in stop motion, would look really cool. Like, Toy Story 3 was out in theaters, and so all these new toys were out, and then it's like, being a fan as a kid, it's like I had a bunch, but I was like still excited about new toys, even though I was a teenager by then. And so we quickly decided we like every scene equally, and we could never pick a scene, so why not just do all of them? And my thought was that, you know, we would not put it online because there's copyright issues, and like, you know, I didn't really know that much about the fan film kind of culture and everything. I had heard about a group of kids in the 80s that remade Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of my other favorite movies, and like heard their success story not that long before, thinking like, well, Toy Story, that's in a kid's bedroom, that's totally doable. So we started, and at first I thought it was going to take like 2 weeks, like, oh, school's starting soon, but like I'll finish. But then Jesse kind of took it a level further and was like, oh, like he made a list of every single prop, every block in the background. And I was like, oh, wait, like we're matching everything. We're not just going to use my bedroom. Like, actually, you're right. That would make it a lot better. So like, I had thought like we would do every shot. But he just amplified like, all right, we're going to do every shot, but we're going to get every background item that we can. We're going to try to match things a bit closer than just having the right toys. We're going to try to have the right bed sheets, and right, the list goes on.
And the carpet.
Yeah, right. So like as many details as possible, right?
Like
so
that iconic carpet from The Shining. I love that you guys got that.
Oh yeah. Well, so that was like an example of one of those things, and we worked in Sid's room for a year before moving on to other sets, and
wow.
So I kind of knew, like, well, I knew the whole lore about having the shining carpet in Sid's hallway, so it's like, well, I have to include that. There's a few little details that got skipped because it was just so minute that no one would care, and too difficult. But that was one of them. It's like, I can't skip this. So I had I had a red carpet that I bought for something else, and it's like, all right, time to paint this design on there. So I rolled it out.
Oh, so you made that?
Mm-hmm. A lot of props that are so specific are handmade. Actually, almost everything that we couldn't buy at the store is handmade.
So then was the wallpaper in that hallway, like there's like a green wallpaper in Sid's hallway that is that hand painted?
No, we went out and bought some green wallpaper and just thumbtacked it up to the walls in that house that we went to for that. Okay. So like a lot of the things, so like there's a behind the scenes video in Sid's one of the most obscure sets, Sid's dad's TV room, and he has wallpaper with ducks on it. So we printed off 100 ducks and taped them in a pattern in this room of a friend's house that let us borrow it. So like every set was sort of like handmade elements, but then also how close can we get it, and then just kind of deciding from there, like, is it worth the extra effort to do this one extra detail, right?
Right.
And that was kind of the fun part. I think the hard part would be scheduling locations, actors. Basically, being a producer, I realized was harder than I thought.
Oh, yeah.
But like getting the shots and figuring out like we need these props and things like that. I think that was kind of the fun part for me. And then obviously like working with real people actors, I think was a lot more fun than working with toy actors.
Yeah.
But the toys worked well too.
Yeah. So everyone who worked on the film with you guys were volunteers, right? You weren't like
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
like
correct.
how roughly how many people were you working with on a given day? Was it usually just like a crew of 2 or 3 people and like maybe one actor, or did you have larger gatherings?
Yeah, we usually had myself, Jesse, and then our close friend Amy, and then eventually down the road, another friend Kim started working, who is now my wife. So a lot of times it was anywhere, 2 of us to 4 of us. Most days when it's a scene with just toys, and then we had, all the human actors are played by humans, so we'd have extra people that day. And then if we were on a location that wasn't Sid's room or Andy's room, then there was other people involved with whoever we were going to film at their house or whatever. So Andy's room and Sid's room were both in my house, as my family's house. So that, eliminated that extra burden of finding a place to literally leave stuff up for months and months. The set basically stayed intact as it was because we only worked on the weekends. I went to school, it was a normal week of a kid. But then I just shut the door behind us in the set, and then everything, including our toy actors, were right where we needed them the next week when we opened the door and got back to work again. So
Nice.
Was it? I imagine you sunk a good amount of money into obviously buying all these props and everything. Did you have like a set budget, or like were you like working a part-time job to help finance things? Were you buying stuff week to week, or did you wait till you had everything before you started shooting? Like, how did that work?
No, I never set a budget because I didn't think it was going to cost anything. My ignorance as a teenage kid that made a bunch of movies for free before, I was like, this will be free too, like whatever. It was basically, if I need something, I would get the money out and buy it from my babysitting money kind of thing. I wasn't working another job, and I was blessed to not have to, because that then became my part-time job, was making this movie. So like I said, shooting on the weekends, I was editing in the evenings during the week as we went along. So basically, as soon as we finished filming, like a week later, it was ready to watch.
Oh, wow.
Because I was doing posts as I was still shooting. And so budget, no. I estimated, when people asked how much, I don't really know, but I guessed somewhere around $1,000 or $2,000. Because like, I'm just like, in my head, I can watch it and add up. Well, like I had to buy that wallpaper. I had to buy that, like you said, carpet, whatever. So like I would like add that up in my head. It's close to a couple thousand, but that's considered low fraction of a movie budget, right? So
Yeah.
but for a teenager, as a big chunk of change.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So time-wise, how long from start to finish did this take?
It was exactly 2 years, like almost to the week.
Wow.
We started August 20. What year did Toy Story 3 come out?
2010. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then so 2012, in August, we finished. We, like I said, I wasn't planning on putting it up online. I didn't know what we were going to do. In my wildest dreams thought, Pixar people, they're going to love this. And they're going to slap it on a bonus disc for Toy Story when it's re-released next time. That was like my big goal and dream. But I don't know if you know this about Disney. They don't respond to children.
Oh yeah.
That would be multiple full-time positions to answer all kids' emails that send stuff to Pixar and Disney. So we went uninvited to Pixar Studios, and we had a little bit of a following online at that point because I had posted a few like previews and saying like this is what we're doing, and I even said in those early videos like it's not going online because I want Pixar to see it first. It belongs to them technically, because we were just ripping the audio, and so when nobody really answered us and we went out to Pixar, I handed out DVDs outside of the gates.
Oh, wow.
And it was met with some enthusiasm, but mostly people like, I got to get to work. Don't make eye contact. Cause you got to understand, like they get people coming up, like throwing their scripts out at people all the time. They're trying to like catch employees as they're coming off the bus, going through the gates to Pixar. And so, like I was just, Jesse and I were just another one of those, like, don't look at them, don't look there. But there was a few people who stopped and talked to us and listened to what we were doing. And then we went home and it's like, well, nothing's happening. So I guess I'll just put it online. And if they want us to take it down, I'll take it down.
Okay.
First day it was online, it got 1 million views, and then it got a million views a day for the first week.
Wow.
And then, so we were getting interviewed for local news, and then beyond local news, and then I got an email from Ed Catmull's secretary saying Ed wants to meet you guys. Like he saw the DVD apparently because it went to that email, and I didn't post that email anywhere else. I only put it on the DVD itself. Was like,
okay.
Message me. And so we went back, but that time we brought the rest of the crew along. And that time we actually got to go in, and they gave us a tour, and we chatted with Ed Catmull for a few minutes during lunch and treated really nicely for the day. And then that is it. That was basically the grand finale. It was like, I guess it lives on YouTube now. That was kind of like it was like, so like, it's fine. There was no, it was like, we're not going to do anything about this because everyone here is impressed by it. Now, I mean, that's kind of like another thing that Disney really has to figure out is like, what are we going to do with like YouTube and fan films? And like, are we going to shut it down? Are we going to let it happen and not say anything? Are we going to reward them? Like some studios, like they'll really like follow along with fan films and like support them. So far, I mean, the last 10 years since our movie's been out, Disney's philosophy has kind of been like hands off. So we're very lucky to be recognized at least by the folks at Pixar, in that way, to be invited to visit and meet a few people.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I didn't know you guys got to tour Pixar. I wasn't planning on asking a question about that, but I'm curious. Like, was it like as I don't know. I just have this dreamlike vision of what it's like going to Pixar Studios where you hear all this lore about how cool it is, and I don't know. Was it actually like a exciting experience, or was it just kind of like, oh, I'm in a corporate building?
No, it was it was very exciting. Mostly because like as a huge Pixar fan, like I could recognize people walking by. I could recognize names as we're going by the offices.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was in early 2013, right after we post the movie on YouTube. And so so there was a different crowd. Like it was still a lot of the old, been there since Toy Story people around. And so we got to meet a bunch of people that like one guy that I remember pretty clearly was Tom Porter came and like met with us, and he was like, yeah, I did the lighting in Pizza Planet for the first movie, and I was like, that's so cool, like that's great, sign my laser disc. Well, then I go home and I'm reading up about Toy Story and Pixar stuff. Tom Porter invented lighting for 3D animation. Like,
oh my gosh.
He wrote the he didn't just do lighting for Pizza Planet. He invented it. Like there was no like lighting system for 3D animated movies before him. So it's like,
wow.
Yeah, they're all very humble.
That's
And,
awesome.
yeah, so it was very cool. I remember leaving and thinking, like, for a long, long time, like, I was like, working at Pixar is like the dream. But I think when I left there after the tour, I was like, that was incredible. I don't think I would work here. Like, it's all consuming. Like, these people live and breathe their job. And it is inspiring and very cool, but it's like, I just don't know. Like, I don't think that's the life for me right now, right? So, and I was in the middle of going to college at that time, so I was considering a lot of what I'd like to do, and obviously there's a lot of roles at Pixar, and I'm sure everyone has a great family life there as well.
Yeah.
But like, it was a really close culture that that you could tell everybody's really, really tight knit there. And it's like, it was interesting. Definitely not corporate office, like you said.
Okay. That's interesting.
Nice.
Moving back to talking about the making of the film, I did have some technical questions. So, talking about the difference between these stop motion shots and then the traditional puppeteering, like, I know because I've tried doing stop motion before that obviously takes a lot longer. Was there a sense of like you spend a lot more time on these stop motion shots than the puppeted shots? Like, were you trying to kind of do as much puppeteering as possible and reserved the like stop motion method for only like shots where you absolutely needed it? Can you talk about like a little bit about like the time commitment of that?
Yeah. Well, if you want to know how much time like stop motion would have taken, the Morgan and Mason McGrew brothers made Toy Story 3 in their real live like IRL, and that's much more stop motion, and their movie took them 7 years.
Oh my
Whereas
gosh.
ours took 2. And so to answer your question though, we basically just talked about like every shot should be what's best for that specific shot. Most of the shots where it's really wide angle, where you see a lot of stuff, we can't get in there and puppeteer very easily. So it's stop motion. Or if there's a bunch of toys moving at once, that's going to have to be stop motion. And our stop motion was pretty terrible. I'll just admit, like, it's one of the more cringy things to watch now. So like, I didn't want to do that much stop motion, just because I knew it didn't look quite as nice to me. So I just also knew I just wasn't as good at doing stop motion. So most of the shots are close up, like a medium or a shot where I could hold the toy and not be in the shot. So most of the movie went by pretty quick doing puppeteering. But if it was, like I said, if it's a wide angle or if there's too many things moving at once, we're going to have to do stop motion. So the shot determined what we would do.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I noticed on some of the puppeted shots, or at least one I noticed, it looked like you had filmed a plate, like a blank plate of the scene without any subjects in the composition, and then it looked like you used that plate to crop out the sides of the shot once the puppet was in it. So was that to get rid of the puppeteers, or was that to get rid of shadows? Did you have a problem with shadows?
Yeah, the problem... I mean, you can probably see all the problems with shadows in the finished thing.
Well, I was looking for them, and I didn't see that. I mean, I just saw that one shot where it was very clearly you had cropped something out, and I was like, oh, I bet that was a shadow. But
it was probably cropping myself out, honestly.
Okay.
Like, I can't think of which one you might be talking about right now, but if... I would employ that technique whenever necessary.
Oh, okay.
It's like, okay, I can't reach. Like, I can't reach over here to puppeteer Woody or whoever. So, like, I'll just be in the shot, and then I'll get out of the way, and I'll just crop myself out later.
Right.
That seems like the right answer.
That's awesome. So speaking of the shots, this is we said this earlier at the top of the episode, but like this was a shot-for-shot remake. which is really impressive. And this is so much more than just a fan film, like just a direct live action adaptation. This is like full on every shot, every composition, everything. And so like I'm curious to know, like, I guess, like, what was the why behind that, and then like what was your guys' like process or like workflow of like each shot? How did that go down?
I don't know that we ever discussed any other way to do it. Like, it's like, we're going to make Toy Story. Well, you got to do every shot. Like, I don't think it was even discussed. As far as the process, like, I had recently like won a video contest on Disney.com, ironically. And the prize was an iPad, like the first iPad that came out.
Okay.
So that came in the mail like a week after we started shooting, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna make my life so much easier now." I got the movie in front of us on an iPad, and this is the scene we're in. So I'm gonna watch that shot and then pause it. We're gonna hold the iPad up to what we're looking at. I'm like my little video camera screen, and I'm gonna set everything up as close as we can, and then we'll go and do it only a few times because, like, the line of dialogue's already in there, and like, as long as we get the movements right, like, we don't have to do that many shots or that many takes.
Yeah.
And we usually got about a minute of the movie done a day. And that's like in Andy's room or Sid's room. If we're out on location, it took a little bit longer, and then the chase scene took much longer because the shots are shorter. So like it took just as long to set up a shot, but the shot was, maybe a second or less. So like, we'll get less of the movie done, but the same amount of shots, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite shot to recreate?
That's a good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. I can't. No, not really.
So I'll tell you the shot that I was really, really in awe of. The shot where it starts with Woody when he first sees Buzz. He's like peeking up over the bed, and the camera backs up and goes basically between Buzz's legs, and then like brings Buzz into frame.
Sure,
And
it's a very iconic shot.
It's such an iconic shot in the original film, but I feel like it's one of the shots that was executed so perfectly that it's like, I don't know, that just got me excited, the way you were able to recreate that effectively.
Yeah. I will say, though, that for the original Toy Story, most of the shots don't move. They were still learning their controls. They were still building the computers to make these movies, and so most shots are stable. Not a lot of movement. If you watch Toy Story 1 and then go watch Toy Story 3, like, the camera's flying all over the place in Toy Story 3. There's a lot of movements. Yeah. But like, there's barely, like, the one that you mentioned is one of the few that I can think of. There's some kind of dynamic camera move. Yeah. Whereas most of the time it's a stable shot. And so that really helped us out too, because now I'll just set it up on a little 1 foot tall tripod, and then I can focus on doing the acting with puppeteers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's a good choice for your favorite shot. I don't have one. I have lots of least favorite shots. Everything that didn't look the way it did in my brain or it does in the real movie. But
like, speaking as someone who's seen the movie dozens of times, you were effective in, like, you can take any single shot and show it to like someone like me out of context of the rest of the film, and I can still identify, like, oh, it's this scene, this is what this shot is supposed to be. So it was effective all the way through. But yeah, there were certainly shots where I was just like really impressed. I was like, that's so close to the original, and it just looks beautiful. So yeah. Did you have a favorite shot?
Well, I was just going to say, so there were, getting into now, like, talking about more of complex shots with, like, layering, where you guys had layerings and stuff. I'm assuming this is a layering shot, but same scene when it's the POV of Buzz and he sees his reflection in the the dome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how did you guys pull that off?
That was there's only 2 shots. There's the shot of the looking around from his point of view, looking around the room, and then there was me filming straight onto Buzz's face and his helmet, so that's all you see. And then in the edit, I'll flip his face and I'll make it semi-transparent. Boom, done. Right.
Oh,
so
nice. Yeah.
there wasn't. That's kind of my favorite part. Like one of the things I was learning the most making this movie was like creative but simple fixes and ways to make things work for shots like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Take 5. We gotta go deliver some pizzas. Be right back.
Like, dude, have you ever hung 10 on the EAC before?
Like, no, man. What's the EAC?
Oh, intro. That's the East Australian Current, dude.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, dude. Well, hey, like, now's your chance. It's like a vortex tube of awesomeness. You can do sick flips, shell grabs, and 360s. Plus, the views of the sea are totally righteous.
Righteous.
Sign up now to register for Crush's next tour and come ride the EAC. Side effects from the tour include possible headaches, nausea, and vomiting. If you sense that you might be hurling, please note, no hurling on Crush's shell. He recently waxed it.
Gone are the primitive days of feasting on fear and scoring scares. No longer is a monster measured by the horror that he inflicts. Because Monsters Incorporated is pioneering a whole new kind of energy to power your city. Come meet our talented jokesters, who are responsible for the Monstropolis power grid's 120% surge. I used to be a janitor and I told jokes to my mop. Now I tell jokes to kids and they love me. Think you got what it takes? Sign up for Monsters Incorporated's open auditions. I'm Monsters Incorporated. It's laughter we're after.
Phew! Barely made that delivery. All right, back to the show.
The next question I wanted to ask you, Jonason, I want to know what filmmaking lessons you walked away with after shooting Toy Story. Like, was there anything that you carry with you today, like when you're making videos and stuff, that's like a lesson that you learned back then?
Yes, all of them. But more specifically, a lot of things that when people, young filmmakers typically will ask, I'll tell them that you shouldn't be afraid to ask people for help or 2 for weird stuff. I did a lot of weird requests when I was making this movie, like, hey, can I borrow your van? Like, you can drive it, but like I need to like run alongside it or something, like weird stuff. Like, we like we're very persistent with one example being the moving van. Like, there's one, this guy owns it. We know he does. He's parked at this house every day. We left a note, no response. A week later, we knocked on the door and it wasn't. Don't be pushy, but in a kind way. Like, ask for favors, and people are excited to help young. It helps to be young. I don't think I get away quite as much doing the same exact movie as an adult, but when you're doing stuff as a kid with no budget, like, that's the time to do it because people are excited to help. And I mean, even now as an adult, like, people are still excited to help you with your movie. It's just a little more like, oh, this guy making his movie thing, whatever, it's a little cuter when it's a teenager, I think.
Yeah.
Also, the toys put people at ease for some reason. It's like, oh, these guys are safe. Like, they're not gonna. Like, we know Buzz and Woody. Like, they'll be fine. Like, we can help these guys out. So I think that's one thing. That's not specific to filmmaking. That could be for any project that you're working on. Is ask people for help. Yeah. I think it was interesting. Like, I kind of picked up on a lot of editing tricks, like you were saying, like masking and using effects. Like, I barely knew anything. And you can tell by watching it. I barely knew anything. But for some shots, I just had to, like, there's no other way besides to learn some basic effects and then taking those principles a little bit further later in the short films that I did after that.
Yeah.
So like keyframes, man, if you can learn keyframes, kids out there, just look it up.
Yeah, for real.
It's gonna open up a whole new world for you.
Game changer.
Yeah, no, you're speaking our language because we not only do we love Pixar too, but we also make movies together. We do have like a channel. We'll share it with you later, but it's called Idiot Box Films, and we make a lot of just for fun films. And so yeah, like the filmmaking terms that you're talking about and keyframing and stuff is like, oh yeah, for sure, it's definitely like a real thing.
And yeah,
I'm a fan. I watched a couple. I'm a fan. I did my research. I wasn't gonna just join this podcast without knowing who I'm talking to. So yeah, I've watched a couple. I love that your stuff is really musically oriented.
Yeah,
which is something that our stuff is a little bit, I don't know, lacking, but just like we haven't really forayed into, is that the right word? We haven't gone deep into musical type stuff. So
we love it. Well, because Ben and I are both musicians. We were in a band in college together. So not to get too much about us, but yeah, that's why. Like we ultimately, like when you're passionate about something, you tend to combine your passions, and so for us, like filmmaking and music ended up just kind of going hand in hand. So, but is there anything specifically with you? Like I know you do like a lot of comedy sketches. Is there something that you're passionate about that you see infused into your work?
Well, for Toy Story,
Yeah.
for one,
Yeah.
And making the movie was like, yeah, I love Toy Story. It's my favorite movie. But I like it because it's a great movie. There's really not a single thing I would change about the original Toy Story. It's the characters and it's just really good writing. Like everything about it, I love. And so like, I want to take that and put that into what I do. I want adults and kids to be able to enjoy it, and I think that's kind of the genre that I want to do. And I'm more inclined to comedy, Jesse even more so than me. So when we were making stuff together, it was always like, well, we know it's going to be funny, and we know it's going to be okay for kids to watch. Like those are the two things.
I love that.
And so even moving forward, that's kind of JP and Beyond means it's going to be okay for everybody to watch. At least, and that's, that ranges. Not everybody agrees on that, but like we'll lean towards the like, all right, let's maybe not this. Like I'm okay with this, but other people might not be, so let's not do this kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And comedy, just because when I am watching stuff, I enjoy walking away feeling good, and that's not always. Even though I love a good drama or something heavy, I don't want people to leave what I'm watching feeling that way. So yeah, I mean, finding a good mix, I think is important. So,
agreed.
Wow, that we kind of went on a tangent there. I don't know if that even answered the original question.
Yeah,
but,
no, I just talking filmmaking. I love it.
I was gonna say too. So like, we just love filmmaking as well. And I remember Gareth even mentioned, he was like, oh my gosh, like I wish we could just like collab, like if we lived closer or something, because we just love filmmaking. It's hard to, I don't know, find people who are also in it, like around you as well. And we've kind of formed a filmmaking community. I'm sure like you have as well. But yeah, we just love that. And it's so cool that like you guys talking about like, making things family friendly. It's just really great, because one of the things that for us, we try to do that as well, is just like, I think it forces you to creatively like tell better stories, because you're not relying on like edgy stuff, right? Like you're like, no, let's tell a compelling story. So I don't know. I just like that you guys do that. Yeah.
I agree. Although I think it might actually for me be more difficult to be edgy, just because that's not my personality. So
I can relate
yes.
to that. If you've watched the shorts on Idiot Box specifically directed by me, like you'll see a pattern of like not really taking myself super seriously. But back to some Toy Story questions. I did want to know, I'm curious about the choice to use the original dialogue. So you have you have actors delivering their own lines, like the human characters like Sid and Andy. They get to say their own lines. Was there ever like a point where you were entertaining the idea of having new actors play the toys too? Or was it always just going to be we're using Tim Allen and Tom Hanks?
Right. We did have conversations about that, mostly because it's like, well, I know 100% illegal. So it's like we talked about it, but we basically like, well, who does a good Wallace Shawn? Nobody. You know, it's like, and I think a lot of the, like you were noting, like the good emotion from it, the like a lot of really strong acting in it shines through in the voice, and like you can it would just be hard to watch, I think, if it wasn't. That was kind of the conclusion that we came to together, was like it'd be really hard to watch this if you didn't have something like bringing you back, like Tom Hanks's voice. You know, it's like it's a little bit more of a leap. As far as using the human actor's voice, you know, sorry, John Morris. Like everybody, like you can see them talking, so it would be even harder to match lip sync their mouth up. But then also, like they're doing some acting. They might as well be themselves and voice over their own lines. So it just seemed like they were humans, and that's what they're going to sound like. They're going to sound like themselves. The toys, well, he has Tom Hanks' voice, right? So it's like that's what he's going to sound like. But the main decision being like we felt like it'd be difficult to sit through if it was us doing bad impressions of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen.
That was really cool. It really worked because like when the kids were talking, like I had to second guess myself at times. I was like, wait, is that
the
sound?
original?
Is that original? Yeah. So like that, it really worked in that sense. So
yeah,
there was a couple times when it's like this would be really easy just to use the other voice, but we have been using their voice forever. So like there was the scene where Sid and Hannah are together. She chases him up the stairs. Like that music isn't on the soundtrack, so it's like, oh no, like they're talking over this music, so I can't erase this from the original. So it's like, all right, we'll record their voices, and then we're gonna have to recreate this music. So Jesse went ahead and recreated music for a couple short little scenes where there was humans talking over the track, and that track wasn't on the soundtrack until 2015 when they re-released the soundtrack and included everything. Which, by the way, is a great, like, I don't know what it's called, the Disney something edition, I don't know. But there's a Toy Story soundtrack out there that has every musical cue in the movie is on that soundtrack. But that didn't exist when we made it.
Dang it.
So,
that begs the question: do you still have all the master files for Toy Story? Like your version of Toy Story? Would you ever like go back and remaster it with that soundtrack? Or
well, for a couple of reasons, no. One, because I don't want to ever George Lucas something I've done and go back and
good
add
for you,
or
man.
change. Once it's done, no matter how bad or good, like it's as good as I could at the time, and then I don't touch stuff anymore.
Right.
That's kind of just my philosophy, because you could tweak stuff forever and it only gets a tiny bit better.
That's admirable.
Thanks. The other reason is I had all of it on one hard drive, and that hard drive got, I don't know the technical term, toast. So like it's on there, but it's broken. So like the Geek Squad people are like, we could fix it, but it'd be kind of expensive. I was like, I'll just hold on to this.
Okay.
So no, I don't have those saved anywhere else except for this old broken hard drive.
Okay.
The movie crashed my family's computer as I was editing it, just because of the sheer volume.
Oh, man.
So like it crashed. We had to reshoot a bunch of scenes that were already finished. Like I managed to get most everything back after the computer crashed, but we did have to shoot like 1 day worth of stuff over again. So like, yeah, file sharing, guys.
Been backups, right?
Backups, yeah. Again, it was a learning experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is a Pixar podcast, so we talk about all kinds of Pixar movies, and I would normally want to ask you if you have a favorite Pixar movie, but I think that's pretty obvious.
I think I said that one already. Yeah.
Yeah, but I am curious though, if you were to ever do another live action Pixar movie, like if you were to tackle a movie that's not Toy Story, what would you tackle and how would you tackle it?
Well, before I answer that, I'm going to preface it with I never ever will, so don't ask,
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
Next question now.
But just so you know, but outside of the Toy Stories, Monsters Inc. is my next favorite.
Okay.
choice, yeah.
And I don't think that'd be very good live action. I'm sorry. It's
Oh yeah,
just
no,
very
I don't think it would be either.
Well, not just out of Pixar, but just animated movies in general. I think Toy Story is one of the few that actually is okay being live action. Disney seems to think otherwise, but it works because it's real. Like out of all the Pixar movies, like Toy Story, weirdly enough, is probably one of the most realistic. Maybe Bug's Life is up there next. Like it's like you couldn't do all, like it spans too far, too wide. Toy Story is pretty self-contained in a
Right.
suburban neighborhood. Like
Yeah.
it's the most doable for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, before we move on, like you mentioned, you talked about how much you love Toy Story, and I was going to ask you more at the top, but I'm just curious to hear like, is there any more that you haven't said about why particularly Toy Story? Like why it's your favorite and why you guys chose that one to make?
Yeah, I mean it was my favorite as a kid, and I had my own toys. I had a big collection as a kid of toys. Like I was all about, like, that's when I played the way Andy does and just take the toys and make adventures running down the street or whatever. And so, I mean, Monsters Inc. came out. I saw it 7 times in theaters. That one was competing for my top favorite, but I always had a special place for Toy Story. And I didn't, like, I was 3 when that movie came out. So, like, I saw it in the theaters, but I don't remember it. It was just always there in my life, basically. And as a little kid, like, I thought, I want to be a space ranger when I grow up. No, maybe I want to be a cowboy. I don't know. It's like, but then growing up, I realized, like, I just actually like it because it's a good movie and I want to make movies. Because you get to kind of do both. You can go to space or to the Old West, but you don't have to have all the danger involved. And so for a long time, I wanted to be an actor. And then it's like, actually, like, I don't have to be in front of the camera. I just want to show people being in front of the camera. So, like, I still enjoy acting, but really I just want to be the one to help create the stories like Toy Story.
Yeah.
I think that answers that question.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, speaking of acting, so in Toy Story, the live action, you were credited as the Pizza Planet driver.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Delivery driver. So what was that like, being in that scene?
Well, I feel like, I don't know, it's such a long time ago, and I never even really talked about this to anybody. I wanted a part, because, like I said, I enjoy acting from time to time. It was really like, acting in live action Toy Story is kind of just different than regular acting, because you're literally just copying the way they said it and the movements that they did, So it was fun, but the Pizza Planet truck was the last scene that we shot because it took us a long time to find a truck that we liked. And even the one we went with, I don't love. So it was fun. I just wanted a part, and so I gave that part to myself. Jesse's in it a few times. Kim is in it once. Like, every time we need somebody to walk by in the background of Pizza Planet or something, it's like, you come here, do that. Like, we needed a small kid. Like, we just called friends from church. And it's like, hey, will you come? You want to be in the movie this time? Like, you got to walk from here to here. So there was a lot of that. There were no real actors in the movie. and by real, I mean professional, want to do it for a living actors.
Right.
Everyone, of course, is a real person acting.
Right.
So
But
they
you
get to credit it now.
But you,
Yeah.
so you played the Pizza Planet truck driver. Now, I know from your YouTube channel, you currently have, or at least as of like within the last year, you have a Pizza Planet truck. Was that your truck that you drove in the movie?
No, common mistake because we, like I said, searched for the perfect truck for a really long time. And then it's like, this is the last thing. Like, we're down to the last scene, and it's this Pizza Planet truck, but it's so like iconic, and like I just wasn't happy with anything we were finding. But we went ahead and filmed it with somebody that Jesse just found on the street driving. He was like, hey, can we use this? And it's close, but my dad knew for like a year or more that I was looking for this truck. After we finished filming and wrapped production, I was up away at school. He found one that was pretty much perfect, and on Craigslist, and bought it. And so it took a while, but I eventually found a camper shell that fit and looked right. And joined a group on Facebook of people that are building Pizza Planet trucks. And so that's newer, but I've had it for 7 years or so.
Okay.
And continue to make small improvements here and there, but mostly it's just a expensive hobby.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have one, and it is significantly better than the movie. It's not in the movie.
Right. Yeah. So is that something you use at all for like? Do you like drive it to like local events? Do you
Yeah.
rent it out for things or?
Yes, exactly. It doesn't have AC right now. That part's broken. So in the middle of the summer, I don't drive it that much. But
Okay.
I like to drive it around. I'll take it to like a pizza festival, or if somebody finds it online and is doing a Toy Story birthday party for their kid, I'll drive it to them. I'll pick up pizza and bring to their party.
Oh, that's awesome.
And stuff like that. So a couple times a year, I'll bring it to events and stuff. It's it's fun. I've gone to a couple car shows with it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
wait,
great.
if you don't mind me asking, where are you based out of? Because you're in Arizona.
Yes. Suburb of Phoenix. Yeah.
Okay.
East Valley of Phoenix.
Okay. Awesome.
Very nice. Well, real quick, so on the topic of acting, two things. One, I think it's amazing that you're a Pizza Planet truck driver because, you know, we're the Pizza Planet podcast, and we have there's like some bits here and there for like the like little bumpers where like we are like Pizza Planet workers.
Yeah.
and
We're your delivery guys.
yeah, we're the delivery guys, you know, bringing you the Pixar pizza. So you are an honorary Pizza Planet
Thank you.
delivery guy. So.
Basically you're a host. You're one of
You're one of us, man.
You're an
Oh,
honorary
good.
host.
Good. Well, have me on whenever. Any topic that you've discussed so far on the podcast, I'm just talking as if I'm part of it, but you never respond when I'm listening. So I have opinions too. Have me back anytime you want.
That'd be
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Talking about the truck though. No, that wasn't the Pizza Planet truck. It was Andy's mom's van. Had the A113 plate. Is it?
Yeah.
Is there someone who actually has that plate?
It's taken in Arizona. You can look up like your vanity license plates online, and you can see if it's taken. So that's taken in Arizona.
Whoa.
But the Pizza Planet license plate wasn't taken, so now it is by me.
But
nice.
the one that appeared in your film, whose was that, or was that just like a prop that you bought?
It was a piece of paper. I printed off.
Was
and
it?
Cut it out, and yep.
Okay,
You can
have
even see
terrible
in-
eyes.
No, well, okay, no, it's not that you have terrible eyes. It's that the camera was terrible quality, and so we got away with a lot of things like that. A lot of things are just like, oh, that sign over there. No, it's paper. That thing's cardboard.
Right.
Yeah, like the Dynaco sign. That's like
It's a cutout piece of paper that I like cropped into the side of the screen, right? So like,
Right.
oh, nice. Okay.
it's like the cheapest. Everything is as cheap and like quick and dirty as we could.
Do you want to know what actually looked better in your film than it did in the original?
I think I know, but you tell me what you think.
Scud.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
No,
I
no,
wasn't
no,
even
no.
thinking about him.
But like, I'm not saying that cheekily. If you listen to our Toy Story episode from last year,
that's like your only critique.
Yeah, one of my only critiques with the animation is Scud looks awful, in my opinion, and I appreciated that you had a really good like performance from the dog too. Like it wasn't like you couldn't tell that it was, you know, because I'm assuming this was just somebody's dog. It wasn't like a professionally trained dog.
Well, I shouldn't have said there weren't any real actors because he kind of was.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Sorta, kinda. So the story with Scud was that Jesse, I just told him, you're in charge of that. I don't want to worry about that right now. So he put out an ad on Craigslist that we need a bull terrier to play Scud in our remake. And someone reached back out, and we went and had a meeting with this lady. I don't know if they expected not teenagers, but they got a meeting with some teenagers in their house. And we, like, their dog, obviously, it's Rupert. He's in the movie. But they had a list of questions like, we watched Toy Story, and how exactly is he going to almost get hit by a car but not? Like, that looks dangerous, right? So, like, I went there and I had an answer for, like, I didn't plan the answers. I just thought about it and, like, well, it's 3 different shots. Like, the cars aren't going to be anywhere close to him. I'll throw up a green screen, right? So, like, I made the answers as quick as I could. And they were happy with it. So he came with a trainer because they were in the process of training their dog.
Okay.
And so there's people we hadn't met before, but we met them for the movie, and their trainer worked on some of the things that Scud had to do, like sitting there and holding a treat on his nose and then biting at it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Seriously.
So he practiced that on his own time, and then we showed up and did it a couple of times. We just tried it with the alien, and he got it right. So like a lot of it, and kind of what you were talking about earlier, like cropping ourselves out. There's a lot of shots with Scud where, like, just off camera, there's his squeaky toy that he's obsessed with. So like right before he goes to eat Woody or whoever, like, we're gonna give him the toy he actually wants. Like, just put it over here, or get him to look this way and then that way. We'll just move the toy around and he'll follow it, right? So
yeah.
So yeah, thank you. Scud was good. I thought the shot I thought you were gonna say is Buzz in the bushes, because like the lighting turned out really good in that, and it's a real bush, so the leaves don't look so plasticky.
Yeah.
And you were I was thinking about the license plate, and so it's the shot right before that. One more thing about the license plate is you can see it in our movie, I think, is that the car starts to drive away just a little bit as right after Buzz jumps on, and our paper license plate just starts to fall down, but I cut right before it falls off.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, well, speaking of locations too, so like I'm also imagining like near that scene is like you have like Andy's house and Sid's house, and you have the gap in between in the walls, right? Mm-hmm. I loved how well that was done, and like for me, that I don't know why, but like for me, like that was like one of the shots that you do, like where there's like the time lapse of the night and the day, and for me, that's when I got like I was like aware that I'm immersed in this film. Like this is uncanny, like the way that you guys were able to get these buildings, and so like where was that? Whose houses were those?
That was a lot of. We did this a lot, but that's one example of it. Is I, with my new driver's license, drove around neighborhoods looking around at like, are these houses close enough together? And then, like these are good and close. Like, this one's got 2 windows that are kind of close. Like, ooh, like this one, the windows. This building's a little bit like this house is a little darker than that one, and it's on the right side. And then I went up and knocked on the door and explained to them what I was doing, and they're like, "Sure, we can go up to that window," and like, why not?
Nice.
So it was a lot of, like I said earlier, just asking for weird stuff. Like, can I go and throw some Christmas lights out that window right there?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's awesome. There's some really, really, really well done sequences. Like some of my favorite sequences in the film, the claw sequence was really impressive. Because it looks like that was mostly handmade, right? The claw machine. The way you did the baby-headed spider thing.
Babyface. He's got a
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
You just
Babyface.
wouldn't know it from the movie.
I knew it was Baby something. I couldn't remember.
Well, you wouldn't know it from the movie. You'd know it from the merch. Yeah.
My brother had the Babyface action figure, like the official licensed one from the '90s, back when we were kids. So I vaguely recall him having a name on the box, but. The way you did him was very convincing, and then obviously the Scud chase was just incredible because you're actually working with like cars and the van and all the different like. You mentioned that there's not a lot of moving shots in the film, but correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of the moving shots that are in the film are in that chase.
Yeah. Although it's really just if you watch it, it's just the background that's flying by. Like the camera itself, other than moving along with the vehicles, like the camera's pretty steady.
Right.
There's a couple where like it starts in front of Buzz and Woody, and then they drive faster, and it follows behind them on RC. So like there's a couple in there, which were really the more fun things to do. Like I really love setting up, a fun shot and doing some choreography along with the camera moves to like that's one of my favorite things to do nowadays. So like it was fun back then too.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great. Do you want to talk about like post-production real quick before we kind of start going to the wrapping up the movie section? Post-production, I think you talked a little bit about it. You mentioned you were editing as you were shooting it. Yeah, and we also mentioned earlier about like there was some layering for certain sequences and stuff. Like, was there a particular scene that comes to mind that was the most extensive with post-production, or just like a headache or something that was just a lot that you had to do?
Pizza Planet has a lot of like little green screened things, like the alien slime machine and the 2 robots that you guys use on your podcast.
Yes, I love that.
So like for those guys, as an example, like I have one toy robot and I film him on a green screen with his little pizza, what do you call that? A spear? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then so now there's he's on a green screen. Now I got to find the doors that automatic sliding doors somewhere. So we go and film at the sliding doors at the right angle, and then there's a trash can with Buzz and Woody next to it, right next to that. So like there's another layer there that I'm going to just crop out with a pen tool. And then, the people got to walk past it. So like I'm cropping them out. So like some things like that kind of took a little bit more time. But I don't really remember anything being super difficult about the edit other than family's computer wasn't built for making an entire movie, and it crashed and I lost stuff and I had to start over. And that was kind of the difficult part, was learning how to correctly manage files and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question before we wrap up the movie section. So the end credits, you guys recorded your own version of "You've Got a Friend in Me."
Yeah.
Yes. There's a few lost versions as well that are pretty funny too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was just curious. Are you guys, now I already mentioned we're musicians. Are you guys musicians, or was that just like we know this song, we're gonna sing it kind of thing?
Jesse's a musician, and he plays bass and keyboard.
Okay.
And so if I remember right, that was his idea that we need to sing it, and I was like, absolutely. Like we don't really get any. There's really nothing that original in the movie until the credits. So like,
and I love how it just devolves. Like after you sing it like a couple times, I want to say you guys just kind of start talking to each other. Like
some great banter.
Yeah. But
well, there's a few takes of banter. So and that it wasn't intentional at the time, but it really did kind of help us to like figure out what we would do together as a group of friends making movies in the future. Is like, well, like this is the kind of stuff we want to do, and that little bit of the credits helped us to play around with that.
Yeah.
So if anyone sticks around for that, I think we also just figured people would leave. So yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed also in the credits you referenced Lee Unkrich in the special thanks.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
there a specific reason why you called him out, or?
Yeah, it was. I think he was surprised about that too. He was the first person that retweeted something of ours. So on Twitter, I looked up every single, and this was early Twitter. I looked up everybody I could find that works at Pixar and said, "Hey, we're making this movie. Here's a preview. Here's, we want to come and deliver it to Pixar. Let us in, maybe, right?" So he was the first person who he retweeted our preview, which was just the scene of Buzz flying around the Andy's room, and said something nice about it, and that was really the first thing that kicked off the virality of it.
Gotcha.
That's a word. But we never met him. He wasn't there the day we went. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was curious because I saw that in the credits, and I was like, there must be a story there because I don't see any other Pixar
no
people.
one's asked that. Yeah, that's true. Nobody asked that question before, but that's why I put him in there because he really helped in that way.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, and then the credits also wrap up with it's a Bible verse from Jude, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Jude. It was one of those, I can't recall it word for word, but it's something in everything that you do it unto the Lord. There was only few people writing mean comments. Why would you put that in there? Well, because it's our movie, and I worked really hard on it, and we want to do everything unto the Lord, including a remake of a movie, right? So
that's awesome. Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
that's great.
Yeah. So speaking about the virality, or is that did I say that?
Definitely it is now.
Virality of it. Yeah. So what was the fan reaction like? You mentioned it was each day initially 1 million views. I mean, that is just insane. Especially for guys like us who this is just a hobby. We've never experienced that kind of virality. What was that like for you and your team? Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
So at the time when I released it, I was up in college, so I was a few hours away from the rest of the team. So I can't really speak to what they were experiencing down there, but from my perspective, I was just in a daze. I wouldn't stop refreshing the page. I remember one conversation with somebody. So I just met a few people, and they're like, "Hey, I heard about your movie. Where can I find it?" And it's open YouTube, scroll down, there it is. It was unreal. I couldn't focus on anything except for that. I pretty much just didn't do any homework or anything for a couple of weeks at least. I tried at first to answer every single email that I got, and it just became too much. Yeah. And it all kind of accumulated in the email from Pixar saying would you like to come visit? Let's schedule a time we can come in for a tour. Was that was the one that I was waiting for, and we almost missed it because it went into spam, right? So it was a big deal for 15 minutes there.
That's awesome. Yeah, you mentioned Disney was not very responsive, but in a hypothetical world where Disney was we love this, here's a Disney-sized budget, we want you to make Toy Story again in live action, would you do it? Would you do it with puppets again, or would you do it with CGI?
Oh no, well CGI, that's been done too. They've both been done already.
Oh really?
Well, the real movie is CGI.
Well, but live action, live action CGI.
No,
that's true.
I would just
That's
be
true.
filming the sets and just I would just do it with still photography, and then they can add in there.
That's true.
I mean, of course I would do it for the money. But I think I liked the way that we did it because it was so cheaply done.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I like the most about it is you can watch it and think, oh, I could do that. And it's yeah, you could if you took the time. Just go for it. That's one of the things I like the most about it.
Yeah, it's got a charm to it.
Right. I might go Muppets on it and erase the wires that are holding up their hands and stuff like that. But other than that, no, I think we'd do it the same.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
More Pizza Planet blasting your way after the break.
Are you tired of the same old bland breakfast cereal? Well, look no further than Incredible O's, the official breakfast cereal of Mr. Incredible and Pals. This delicious morning treat is not only the best tasting cereal, but it's packed with vitamins that will help you grow strong like Mr. Incredible himself. Incredible O's, now including frozen Ice Blast shaped marshmallows. Get a Mr. Skipper-Doo toy in every box. Look for it in the cereal aisle. And watch Mr. Incredible and Pals on Saturday mornings at 8. What was that? Getting pulled from the air? Superheroes illegal? Product recall? This will put us in the hole, no question. What are we going to do with all these refined grains coated in synthetic sweetener? Oh, no!
Take your next vacation in the #1 rated tourist destination in South America. The jungle surrounding Paradise Falls is home to over 8,000 species of local flora and 1,800 species of fauna, including the endangered Kevin bird. There's no shortage of adventure when exploring the area's vast array of wildlife. But don't forget that Paradise Falls is also home to the historic landing site of the Frederickson House. Come take a guided tour of this celebrated home and learn about the extraordinary lives of Carl and Ellie Frederickson, as well as Carl's noteworthy contributions to local conservation efforts. Book your vacation to Paradise Falls today. Your next big adventure is just around the corner.
Hold on tight. We are re-entering the Pizza Planet quadrant.
Okay, so we had talked a little bit about this, about like you mentioned there's like a Toy Story 3, that was made a live action. So yeah, there are other live action films out there in the YouTube verse, other Toy Story remakes. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? And like, do you feel like your guys' video was a catalyst in ways for other creators to make more Toy Stories?
Yeah. I without sounding prideful, like it was, there wasn't anything like that before we did ours. Mm-hmm. It's kind of now it's a niche on YouTube that you could get into and follow through with doing them all the time. A friend of ours, David, he's at Today I Grew Up. That's a channel that does toy reviews, and he makes little scenes kind of like the way ours was. And yeah, so like Morgan and Mason McGrew did theirs. There's a YouTube channel called Bodo Productions that has said for, I don't know, almost as 10 years since ours has been out that he's doing Toy Story 2. It's not out yet, but I see his updates on Twitter, so like, or Instagram rather. So like, yeah, there's people doing the same thing. Ours was, we did it quick and we did it for fun. And, so I think now, like, I know for the McGrews especially, like they filmed some stuff in the style that we did, like puppeteering, and then decided that they didn't like the way it looked and wanted to do it better. So they went with almost entirely stop motion.
Oh, wow.
And so that took them a bit longer, but they started around the same time when we were starting, right? So like, yeah, I think it's fun to see other kids try it out, and that was kind of, what we came to expect after a little bit. I remember like a week after ours went on YouTube, like someone came up with, it just popped up, live action Toy Story 2. Oh, really? And it's like the same length. It's like an hour and a half. It's like, oh, they did it with popsicle sticks. Like they just wanted the clicks. And it's like they really did act out the whole movie, but like without turning the camera off and using characters on popsicle sticks. So it's like, they got their clicks that they wanted, I think. So like, that's kind of something I'd put out there to people. Like, as far as I know, there wasn't a shot-for-shot remake of an animated movie before ours. Like Disney started doing their live action remake. The funny thing is, like, when we made our movie, it was 10 years ago, like we had to explain what live action meant. Like people that wasn't in the vernacular, like cultural, but now Disney makes all of them all the time, so people understand. Yeah. So we had to designate now ours is shot for shot and what that means. Mm-hmm. And so Yeah, I mean, I think there's a nostalgia plays a lot into it. But I would tell people who want to do the same thing or something similar is that, results may vary. We had a lot of success because it hadn't been done before, and now, like you referred to, there's a handful out there. So like, you come up with your own little twist on it, or if you're gonna make something like a fan film, like do it in a unique way. Like I enjoy finding things every once in a while. A lot of them are kind of older, but there's like people did all whole Star Wars, but their thing was we're gonna do it in one day, and it's gonna look like pool noodles and stuff, like whatever we can grab and find and film right now. So like there's all sort of varieties of how you could approach doing your fan film.
Yeah.
But I think approaching it as I want to be famous or viral is not the right way to approach it, because that might not happen.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, and it robs the creativity too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about this whole genre on YouTube of live action remakes of animated things, you did do a live action remake of a scene from Toy Story 3.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
did I read that was part of that was a contribution to a bigger project?
You are confusing two different things.
Oh, am I?
So there is a scene from Toy Story 3 that we did while I was still editing the first one, and that was because it was a class project, like do whatever you want, and it was when Toy Story 3 had just come out on DVD, and everyone was telling me how I looked like Andy, and so it's like, all right, we'll do this end scene because it's amazing scene, and I think it'd be fun, and so I did it for a class, and then we kind of decided we'd use that as another sort of trailer to like, by the way, if you like this, you'll like that. Pretty soon we're going to release the entire movie,
Right.
of the first movie. And so there was that. And then the other thing you're thinking of was only last year, maybe 2 years ago, when there was a collaboration. It's on the channel called Dial Up Studios, where and there have been a few other fan films kind of made in this way before, like Star Wars and Shrek, but it's like everybody gets 30 seconds or so of the movie to remake in whatever style that they want. And a lot of them are animated, but they use their own, technique to make every so often it switches and looks completely different.
Right.
And so we did do a scene because they reached out, and it's like, well, I always said I wasn't going to do another movie, but I didn't say I'd do another scene. I wouldn't do another scene. And like I haven't got to actually use my Pizza Planet truck to make a remake yet, so like let's just do that scene.
That was Toy Story 2.
Yes, so that collaboration project was Toy Story 2 at the airport.
Yep. Okay.
And so that was a part of another project. So that's the whole full movie, but very weird and different. So if you're into weird and different, you can go watch that one.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, the Toy Story 3 scene was it was so touching, man. Like,
And you said you're not a professional actor, but it's hard to make that defense when you were doing Andy justice in live action.
yeah, like seriously,
thanks.
you nailed the performance. Yeah.
Well, thanks. I mean, he nailed it originally, so like that was just like, I'm gonna copy this and hopefully get a fraction of the emotions through.
Yeah. But like the crazy thing is that Andy is a joint performance between John Morris and the animators, whereas you had to summarize all of that talent into one performance on screen.
Yeah.
So I think that's impressive, but
Yeah.
Well, and I was babysitting my little sister who was playing Bonnie at the time, so it's
Oh,
like,
nice.
I'll focus on keeping her safe too while we're doing this.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so great. Like, yeah, it's such a touching scene. Like, I remember, that's the scene that people think about a lot of Toy Story 3. And so it's such a great choice. And like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess my question for you is like, what was it like doing that? Because, it wasn't the stop motion. Well, it wasn't the full on stop motion puppeteering like from Toy Story 1. It was like this new thing, but like it still felt the same. It had the same like energy and the same like playfulness and the same like heart that like the everything you guys had done before that, but just drastically different with human actors. And so like it's really cool that you guys were able to do it, and it felt really great. Like watching it, it felt right tonally. So yeah, like what was it like doing that compared to the first one?
Thanks. Well, like I said, it was in the middle of making the first one, so it was kind of like, we'll take a break from Toy Story to work on Toy Story. So it's like, we did a couple little short films in between while we were making the full movie, just to kind of give ourselves freedom to pick what the shot's going to look like. But I think doing Toy Story 3 scene, I think it was only one day long. It was kind of just like, let's just play, and like we'll use my school's equipment so the camera's a little bit better, so I don't really know what I'm doing on this camera, but like I'll set it so it looks okay, and then I'll go jump in front of it and let Jesse run it, like stuff like that. It was just kind of fun hanging out with their friends and on someone's front lawn that we've never met before. So like it was another one of those drive around until we find something that we like the way it looks. So yeah,
that's awesome. Great. Well, before we wrap up, we won't keep you too much longer. I did want to really quick highlight for you guys and for our audience, like you do short films on your YouTube channel, and they are amazing.
Thank you.
Genuinely love the writing, like because they're funny, they have levity to them. There's like fantastical elements to a lot of them. I always tell Ben, like my forte when it comes to writing short films is always something that's very lighthearted, something that plays more with concept and more with kind of just general cheekiness and cleverness. And that's what like you are in spades, like all of your short films. Like my favorites from the ones I've seen so far, like your two of your most recent ones were fantastic. Out of Remote Control, the Bacon Verse of Badness, and the companion piece that went with that one, I think it was the BLT Club. And then Office, Hours and Hours and Hours, had me cracking up. I loved that one. So I just want to let our audience know, go watch all of Jonason's short films on JP and Beyond. But yeah, before we let you go, is there anything else that you want to plug? Any way people can follow you?
Not really. Check out the short films. JP and Beyond has a website. It's jpandbeyond.com, and we'll put our videos up there. You can see pictures of my Pizza Planet truck if you're into that. And then you can reach out through there on an email. Also, I know I have one other short film that we finished a while ago that's not released yet. It's called Error 404 is Human, and it's I think you'll like it if based on what you said, like describing the cheekiness and the concept. And I just hope that I'll continue to make stuff that people enjoy, so I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, we love it. And Ben, maybe we should try and like do some sort of, I don't know how we can collaborate remotely. Maybe we could write a song for one of Jonason's shorts.
That'd be fantastic. I would love that.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But did you have anything else closing out, Ben?
Oh man, well, it sounds like so you mentioned you would you're like I don't plan on doing Toy Story ever again. So I assume at some point you guys just jumped into, or rather focused more on the short film world. You're doing this on the side, right? I'm assuming you have like a day job and stuff as far as like your life now.
All of that is true.
Married life too, right? So
yes, cue the Michael Giacchino score. My goal next is to work on something a little bit bigger. I want to do another feature, but that's a huge undertaking now that I actually understand what it means. Back then it's like, oh, easy, just like chip away, which is kind of the approach I'm going to have to do anyways. But yeah, we got a big backlog of shorts for you guys to enjoy while you wait. And yeah, I'm kind of collaborating with new people and trying to just continue to keep it going. Though it may start to look different, it's going to maintain the heart, I hope. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And not to say that I'd never touch Toy Story again. Our most popular stuff on YouTube is Toy Story. So like sometimes I'll just want to do it for the views, but like I said, I like Toy Story because it's a movie that's great. Not so much like I always want to talk about the toys, which I have opinions on, and it's fun. It's fun, but it's not the dream right now. So yeah, you can find a lot of Toy Story stuff on the channel too. There's a whole series we made at Disney World at Toy Story Land. So stuff like that. Like you can go see. There's still a lot of Toy Story related content.
Yeah.
That'll keep everyone busy.
That's great. Yeah. This is amazing. We appreciate all of your time, Jonason, and we're so grateful that we literally got to interview for our podcast. Like, this is like huge deal for us because we haven't yet been able to like make connections outside of like our own circles with people who have the same interests as far as Pixar and Toy Story and stuff. So we really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Jonason.
you. Yeah, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah,
It's fun.
Absolutely. Well, everyone who's listening, do yourself a favor. Go to JP and Beyond. Check out their content. If you've never seen the live-action Toy Story, seriously, you got to see it. It's so well done. So yeah, please go check him out. Smash that subscribe button on his channel.
Yeah, sure. If that's the kind of thing you're doing, smashing things, go ahead.
Yeah, while you're smashing other things, add it to the
Yeah.
list. But yeah, seriously, Jonason, thank you so much, man, for your time today.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Gareth.
yeah.
Well, as we say,
What is my line again? Hold on.
It is O. You were right. O is correct.
Hold on. Keep it an O for onward.
because adventure is
Out there.
to infinity and
beyond.
Nice.
We
yes.
did not coordinate that.
I love that you knew the last line because I wasn't sure if you'd know it. So I was like, well, I'll throw the adventures out there. But you knew the last one too.
I told you I listened to a bunch last week. Like, it was fresh in my mind.
That's amazing. Sweet.
That's great.